-13, it is freezing. So anyway, last time we discussed bureaucratic sludge and the opposite of that, which is ruthless efficiency. And what everybody took away from that wasn't Estonia's incredible 99% digitalization of state services. It was just the war on drugs, man. That was all of us. And that showed me a hidden bias that culture dictates what we perceive as efficient or even as effective. And I think the big one here was that, like, we assume that our Western experience with a policy is a universal truth, but things are so much more complicated than that. Because in Singapore, the zero tolerance stance on drugs wasn't just about like law and order. It was built by a generation of decision makers who had very little resources, that remembered the suffering and the lessons of the opium wars. So they chose collective safety over individual liberty, which is what people in the West see as like draconian. But Singaporeans then and now still see this as a necessary protection for the social fabric. Many of them don't even see it as a trade-off, but just as a foundation for a safe and productive community. Now, this is obviously not the same as what happened over in the States. However, because in Singapore, drugs is used as a sweeping non-negotiable term, that there is zero space to even discuss the benefits of things like CBD, psilocybin, or even hemp, right? So when we push for ruthless efficiency, we tend to measure what is easiest to count, right? So in this case, it'll be like arrests, convictions, and clean streets. But what we aren't evaluating enough are the health outcomes, potential for medical research, and the long-term strength of social fabric, which was like the ultimate purpose of the policy to begin with. So obviously there has to be a middle ground. And I'd say that purpose is what that middle ground is. And the more perspectives that we get, whether they're east or west or left or right, the bigger that ground gets, and the more we get to play and really discuss. And then the question comes, well, how do you manage that as it scales? And I think that could be the topic for the next video.